four blood brothers, Henry, Smart, Bobby, and David, who is the youngest of them, orchestrated a daring 100 million naira heist with the help of Sam, a close friend of David's. Initially, the operation seemed like a resounding success. However, fueled by greed, three of the brothers, Henry, Smart, and Bobby, secretly conspired to eliminate Sam, deceitfully keeping David in the dark about their sinister plan. Sam knelt in a bushy area deep in the jungle pleading for his life as Bobby, Jerry, and Smart stood before him, guns drawn. David, visibly tense, opposed the plan. "Please don't do this," Sam begged, tears streaming down his face. "Take the money and let me go." David urged, "He's right. We shouldn't do this. He's one of us, and he brought up the deal." Bobby countered, "Shut up. He doesn't deserve a share of the deal." Smart rationalized, "If we let him go, he might retaliate or inform the police." David protested, "But he'll be implicated too." Jerry added, "He might get a lighter sentence if he cooperates." Bobby sneered, "While we face 20 years, he'll get off with 5. Sam, desperation grew. "I won't betray you. I'll leave town, I swear." David's resolve hardened. "I won't let you do this. If you insist, I won't be part of it. For God's sake, he's my friend." Jerry and Smart emphasized their brotherly bond, justifying their actions. David's outrage boiled over. "You're willing to kill him for 100 million? Taking a life for money?" Jerry pushed for swift action. "Let's finish this before someone sees us." Smart pulled the trigger, striking Sam in the torso. His scream echoed through the air. David was horrified. "What the hell?" Smart coldly stated, "I've made my point, you can finish it," and walked away. David apologized to Sam, "I'm really sorry," before fleeing to the car. Moments later, Jerry and Bobby followed, Bobby checking the money in the trunk before taking the driver's seat. The car sped away, leaving Sam's lifeless body in a pool of blood. The atmosphere in David's room was heavy with sorrow. David lay on his bed, his face a map of anguish. The knock on the door shattered the silence. "Come in," David muttered, his voice barely audible. Bobby entered, carrying a bag that he dropped onto David's bed. "That's your share. 25 million cash. Nothing short, nothing more." David's silence was deafening. Bobby attempted to rationalize. "I know it's hard for you, but David cut him off, his frustration boiling over. "Bobby, please leave me alone and just go." Bobby nodded and exited the room, leaving David to his turmoil. Downstairs, in the living room, Bobby joined Smart and Jerry. The mood was subdued, but Jerry's excitement was perceivable. "How's he doing?" Jerry asked, nodding toward David's room. "Not good," Bobby replied. Smart offered words of reassurance. "Don't worry, he'll overcome it. He just needs time." Bobby sank into an empty chair, his eyes clouded with concern. Jerry, however, was already shifting gears. "I've got dough. Time for a new ride." Smart laughed, a hint of amusement in his voice. "You're always thinking about cars." Jerry grinned, unapologetic. "Why not? Life's too short." Unbeknownst to the brothers, a storm was brewing. David stood before the mirror, lost in thought. He then walked to the bed, unzipped the money bag, and retrieved a bundle. After tossing the cash in his hands, he returned the bag to the wardrobe and exited the room. Next, David grabbed a shovel and gloves from the main entrance and headed to his car. He opened the trunk, stored the items, and shut it. As he opened the gate, Bobby appeared. "Where are you going?" Bobby asked. David replied, "To fix some stuff. I'll be back shortly." Bobby cautioned, "Don't you know we should lie low?" David started the engine. "I won't waste time out." He drove off, calling out, "Help shut the gate!" Bobby cursed under his breath, "Stupid," and closed the gate. David stepped out of the car, opened the trunk, and retrieved the shovel and gloves. He scanned his surroundings, ensuring he was alone. With caution, David approached the spot where Sam fell. But instead of Sam's lifeless body, he found nothing. Confusion etched on his face. David searched the area, but he did not see Sam. David's anxiety grew. He hastily returned to his car, stowed the shovel and gloves, and sped away. David drove into the compound, his mind racing. This is serious. What could have happened? Did Sam survive? No way. Or did someone find him and inform the cops? David parked and rushed into the apartment. "Guys, come out," David shouted. Bobby and Jerry emerged. "What's wrong?" Bobby asked. "I went to bury Sam," David began. Bobby cut in. "You what?" Jerry added. "Are you kidding?" David continued. "I didn't find his body." Bobby's expression turned grave. Smart entered the room. "What's going on?" Smart asked. Bobby filled him in. Smart's concern grew. "Going back was stupid," Smart said. "What if someone saw you?" David insisted. "That's not the issue." Sam's body vanished. Jerry wondered, did he survive? Bobby affirmed, "No way. I shot him in the chest." Smart asked, "What do we do now?" Bobby suggested, "Lie low." Jerry countered, "We should search nearby hospitals. If Sam survived, we finish what we started." Smart agreed. Bobby tasked Jerry, "Check all hospitals in that area." Jerry accepted. David protested, "I can do it." Jerry refused, "No, I don't trust you." Smart backed Jerry. David stormed out, angry. Bobby sighed. "Jerry, get to work. We must fix this now." Jerry nodded. David lay on his bed, tormented. "God, did Sam survive? I hope so. But would my brothers kill him again?" Determined, David grabbed his phone and dialed. "Hey, how's it going? Meet me at our last hangout spot in 40 minutes? David hung up. David sat alone at a table for two, checking his watch. He looked up to see Jane entering the bar and signaled her. Jane approached, apologizing. "Sorry for keeping you waiting." David smiled. "No problem, you're here now." Jane asked, curious, "What's up? Why the sudden invite?" David hesitated. "Something important came up." Jane pressed. "What is it?" David inquired. "Did you come with your car?" Jane nodded. "Yes." David continued. "Good. I need a favor from you." Jane's expression turned inquiring. Bobby and Smart sat in the living room when Jerry entered. Bobby asked, "Welcome back, bro." "What did you find?" Jerry sank into a chair. "Nothing." Smart frowned. "What do you mean?" Jerry clarified, "I checked all hospitals around." No one fitting Sam's description was admitted. Bobby probed, "Dead or alive?" Jerry shook his head. "Neither." Smart's concern deepened. "This is serious." Jerry asked, "Where's David?" Bobby replied, "He went out a while ago." Jerry nodded thoughtfully. David sat in Jane's car, waiting. Jane entered, settling behind the wheel. "Any hopes?" David asked. Jane shook her head. "No patient matching Sam's description." David's concern deepened. "Wow, this is the last hospital in town. What's going on?" Jane turned serious. "Time you told me what's happening, David." David hesitated, then revealed, "Sam was shot. I think if he survived, those who harmed him would finish the job. I wanted to find him first." Jane's eyes widened. "This is serious. Who are these guys?" David evaded. "Doesn't matter now. Thanks for the ride. I'll call you later." Jane nodded. David stepped out, and Jane drove off. David entered the living room where his brothers sat. Bobby greeted, "Welcome, man." David sank into the couch, asking Jerry, "Did you find him?" Jerry shook his head. "No, man." David's expression turned puzzled. "Strange, very strange." Smart shrugged. "I think there's nothing we can do now." Bobby agreed. "Seems so." David stood. "I need some rest." As David exited, Bobby asked, "What do you guys think?" "Nothing to be scared of, right?" Jerry nodded. "Yeah." Smart added, "It baffles me, but what can we do?" "Nothing." Sam stood in the afterlife, confusion etched on his face. A towering figure emerged. "Who are you, and where am I?" Sam asked. "I'm the Devil's Man," the figure replied. "You're on your way to Hades." Sam was furious. Those double-crossing bastards. After all my work, this is what I get. A fierce rage burned within him. No, they can't get away with this. I must do something, Sam vowed. The Devil's Man ordered, "Shut up. You're dead. You have no business with the living." Sam pleaded, "Send me back as an agent. I can help populate Hades. Let me teach those bastards a lesson." The Devil's Man laughed. "Impressive, but no. You are dead." Sam tried to grasp the Devil's Man's arm, but his hands burned. "What the hell? You're on fire!" Sam yelped. The Devil's Man warned, "Don't touch me. You're lucky you didn't lose your hand." Sam persisted, "I need to get back. I must make them suffer." The Devil's Man scoffed, "My master makes humanity suffer, not you." Sam argued, "He can't do it alone. That's why he has agents everywhere." The Devil's Man nodded, intrigued. Sam pressed, "I'll offer myself to him. I'll work for him." The Devil's Man raised his hand, eyes glowing. "How dare you give me directives?" he growled. Sam apologized. "I'm sorry, sir." A black smoke appeared, and the Devil's Man communicated with his master. "My master is impressed. He'll bend the rules for you," the Devil's Man said. Sam knelt, and the Devil's Man summoned a dark smoke into him. "Welcome on board. Get your revenge, then your deal begins." Sam's eyes glowed. The Devil's Man warned, "No mortal can harm you, but beware of the gonadad." Sam asked, "What's the gonadad?" "A wooden cross soaked in holy water," the Devil's Man replied. Sam vanished, resurrected at the spot of his death. Sam stood in his room, bewildered. Suddenly, the Devil's Man materialized. "You're surprised, right?" the Devil's Man asked, smiling. Sam nodded. "Yeah." The Devil's Man inquired, "What was the first thing you thought about when you got up?" Sam replied, "Home." The Devil's Man chuckled. "That's why you're here. You possess unique abilities now." Sam's curiosity surged. The Devil's Man explained, "You can think of a place and instantly appear there. And you can impersonate anyone." Sam's eyes widened. "Like taking someone's shape?" The Devil's Man affirmed, "Exactly." Sam exclaimed, "Wow, nice." The Devil's Man turned serious. "I must leave. Get to work quickly. It's crucial." Sam nodded. "Okay." The Devil's Man vanished. Sam stood alone, processing his newfound powers. Sam stood devilishly, sipping wine from his glass. The bottle sat on the nearby table. His eyes seemed distant, lost in thought. As he paced the room, flashes of his brutal murder flickered in his mind. The memories seared his soul. He halted before a board, adorned with photos of the four brothers, David, Bobby, Jerry, and Smart. Sam's gaze lingered on each face, his expression unreadable. With a calculated calm, Sam untagged David's picture. He held it in his hand for a moment, walks to the table and cover-side the picture. He went back to the board. "I'm going to kill you guys one after the other. I'm going to take what's mine," Sam voiced. Sam drained his glass, then dropped it onto the table. The sound shattered the silence. Without hesitation, Sam turned and exited the room, leaving the brothers' faces watching over the empty space. Smart's face lit up as he spoke on the phone with Sarah, his tone warm and affectionate. He inquired about her day and location, eliciting a playful response. Smart asked about her availability the next day, and Sarah confirmed she was free. "Come by my place at 11 a.m. tomorrow," Smart requested. Sarah agreed, and Smart cautioned, "Don't keep me waiting." She assured him she wouldn't, and they exchanged sweet goodnights. "Love you," Smart whispered. "Love you too," Sarah replied, before the line went silent. Smart hung up. Sam sat on the bed, lost in thought, when a dark figure materialized before him. He instinctively bowed, showing reverence. "What brings you here, sir?" Sam asked. The Devil's Man spoke with an air of authority. "I'm wondering why you haven't acted since your return." Sam's eyes locked onto the figure. "The mission starts tomorrow." The Devil's Man nodded, his expression stern. "Remember, time is short. The master gives you less than 2 weeks to complete the job." Sam's determination intensified. "It's clear, sir." The devil's man vanished as suddenly as he appeared. Sam's gaze lingered, his resolve solidified. Bobby and David lounged in the living room, engrossed in the TV. The door swung open and Sarah walked in, radiant. "Good morning, guys," Bobby smiled. "Look who's here." David greeted. "Good morning, Sarah." Bobby asked, "How are you?" Sarah replied, "I'm fine. You guys seem to be doing well." David nodded. "Yeah." Sarah inquired, "Where's Smart?" Bobby pointed. "In his room." "And Jerry?" Sarah asked. Bobby responded, "Also in his room." Sarah smiled. "Okay, let me go see Smart. I'll be right back." David nodded. "Okay, dear." Sarah headed towards Smart's room, leaving Bobby and David to their TV show. Smart counted stacks of cash when a knock interrupted him. "Come in," he called. Sarah entered and Smart checked the time, 10:40 a.m. "Hey, you're early," Smart said, surprised. Sarah smiled. "I decided to come early. Nothing to do at home." Smart teased, "Not your style to be punctual, let alone early." Sarah playfully defended, "People change." Smart raised an eyebrow. "Oh? I see." Sarah's gaze fell on the cash. "Speaking of seeing, your hands are full." Smart nodded, still counting. "That's why I called you. I need your help." Sarah's curiosity piqued. "What do you need?" Smart explained. "I want you to deposit this money into your account." Sarah's eyes widened. "You're serious?" Smart confirmed, "Dead serious." Sarah asked, "How much is it?" Smart finished counting. 24,500,000. Sarah's eyes sparkled, intrigued. Bobby and David sat in the living room, engaged in a serious conversation. Bobby confessed, "Bro, I regret what we did to Sam." David raised an eyebrow. "Why now? Scared he might have survived?" Bobby shook his head. "No, I just feel terrible about it. Wish I could turn back time." David's expression remained stoic. "You can't. I warned you, remember?" Bobby nodded. "You did. I just needed to clear my conscience." Jerry entered the room. "Hey guys, what's up?" David downplayed. "Nothing much, just watching a movie." Jerry asked, "What's the title?" David replied, "Hunter's Prayer." Smart and Sarah entered, and Bobby checked the clock, 10:55 a.m. Smart mentioned, "She's running an errand for me." Bobby suggested, "Let's see her off." Jerry agreed, "I'm coming too." The group accompanied Sarah out, leaving David alone in the living room. The group stood outside waiting for a cab. Sarah flagged one down and it pulled over. Smart whispered, "Take care." Sarah smiled, "I will." Bobby added, "Be safe." Sarah nodded and entered the cab. The vehicle drove off. Smart turned to the others. "Let's go inside." As they headed back, Jerry lagged behind, locking the gate. Just then, a cab stopped in front of the gate. Sarah stepped out. A knock on the gate interrupted the brothers. Jerry asked, "Who is it?" Sarah's voice replied, "It's me." Jerry exchanged a puzzled glance with Smart. When Jerry opened the gate, Sarah entered, dressed in different attire. Jerry's curiosity turned to suspicion. "How'd you change clothes so fast?" The brothers sat in stunned silence except Smart, who paced anxiously. Sarah reassured, "I didn't come here earlier. Someone impersonated me." Smart's frustration boiled over. "Who? Tell me." Bobby pieced together the timeline. When Smart came out with the other Sarah, I checked the time, 10:55. We were all here. Smart brought out his phone, showing missed calls from Sarah. Bobby deduced, "Logically, Sarah can't be here and call you at the same time." David added, "She didn't know about the bank errand." Sarah defended, "I didn't give my phone to anyone." Bobby concluded, "If it wasn't Sarah, who did it?" Jerry summarized, "A mystery lady impersonated Sarah, collected Smart's cash." Smart despairingly asked, "Why me?" Bobby apologized to Sarah, "Please excuse us." After Sarah left, David analyzed, "Only 5 people knew about the 100 million deal. You guys eliminated Sam, leaving 4 of us." Jerry noted. The 4 persons are right here. Jerry wondered, can a dead man pull this stunt? David countered, we didn't find Sam's body. Smart realized, someone else knows about the deal. Jerry whispered to David, this has something to do with Sam, right? David's eyes widened. Why say that? Jerry concluded that someone is Sam. David flashed back to Sam's elimination. If it was Sam, I know why he started with Smart. Bobby asked. Why? David explained. Smart drew first blood. Jerry strolled through the market, lost in thought, when a familiar voice called out, Jerry? Jerry's eyes widened in surprise. Jerry's face lit up. Hey! My man! The 2 old classmates shook hands vigorously, rekindling their friendship. Joshua remarked, surprised to see you, it's been a long time. Jerry nodded. Yeah, 11 years. Where have you been? Joshua shared. I've been out of the country. Just got back 3 weeks ago for my wedding. Jerry congratulated. Wow, that's amazing. Congrats in advance. Joshua thanked him. Thanks, bro. How are your brothers? Jerry reassured. They're fine. We just moved into a neighborhood nearby. Joshua suggested, I should come with you to say hi to them. Jerry agreed. That would be great. As they walked together, Joshua teased, Jero, my guy. Jerry and Joshua entered the empty living room. Where is everyone? Jerry called out, Bobby, David, Smart. Joshua took a seat while Jerry dropped his shopping bags on the dining table. The brothers trickled in. Jerry introduced, Guys, my old friend Joshua. Bobby extended a warm handshake. What's up, bro? Smart added, Long time no see. David smiled. Good to see you. Jerry offered, What can we get you, Josh? Joshua declined. I'm fine, thanks. Bobby pressed, Are you sure? Joshua reassured, Yeah, I need to run along soon. Getting married soon, remember? Jerry recalled. Yeah. Smart congratulated, You're getting married? Joshua confirmed, Yeah. The brothers offered collective congratulations. Joshua stood. I should go. Jerry walked him out. As they parted ways, Joshua mentioned, I'm celebrating my 31st birthday in 2 days. He handed Jerry an invitation card. You guys are invited. Venue's on the card. Jerry promised, We'll be there. Bobby and David echoed, We'll definitely come. Joshua thanked them. Thanks in advance. The brothers arrived at Joshua's birthday party, Bobby locking the car behind them. As they entered, Joshua welcomed them warmly. Welcome, guys. Glad you made it. Jerry smiled. We had to. Joshua led them to their seats, offering drinks. Make yourselves comfortable, I'll be right back. After Joshua left, a girl approached Smart. Hey, handsome, want to dance with me? Smart glanced at his brothers. David winked, and he agreed. On the dance floor, Smart's awkward moves had his brothers laughing. I think Smart's tipsy, David chuckled. Bobby agreed. I can bet on that. Jerry cautioned. Watch him closely. Smart and the girl got groovy, sharing kisses. Jerry teased. Smart kissed her! I must tell Sarah. Bobby laughed. Mind your business. Joshua returned with more drinks and girls. The brothers were distracted, each engaging with a girl. Meanwhile, David realized Smart was missing. Hey guys, Smart's not on the dance floor. Bobby worried. What? Jerry rushed to the restroom area. The girl Smart danced with rushed out, screaming. Jerry held her. What's wrong? She pointed, speechless. Jerry rushed inside, finding Smart bleeding. Brother, what happened? Who did this? Smart stuttered. Sam. Jerry demanded. Where is he? Smart tried to speak but couldn't. David, Bobby, Joshua, and others rushed in. David asked, What happened? Jerry yelled, Help me pick him up! We need to get him to the hospital. The atmosphere was heavy with grief. Joshua broke the silence. I'm sorry about Smart's death. I'm still shocked. No one responded. Sarah entered, concerned. What's going on? Don't tell me it's true. David confirmed. It is, Sarah. Smart's gone. Sarah burst into tears. Why? Why? Joshua pressed. Jerry, do you know who's responsible? Jerry shook his head. No. Joshua suggested, we should inform the police. Jerry refused. No need. Joshua pushed. Why? It's complicated. Jerry reiterated, it's complicated. Bobby intervened. Don't call the police. Joshua asked, why? Bobby insisted, no use. David added, just forget about it. Sarah protested, forget. Smart was killed and you want the killer to go free. Jerry clarified, we'll handle it ourselves. Joshua realized, you want to take the law into your hands? Bobby affirmed, whatever you call it. Joshua sensed, you're hiding something. Sarah accused, they know something. Joshua decided, I'll find out what's going on. Sam sat smiling, satisfied with his revenge. The devil's man materialized. I see you've pulled it off, he said. Sam nodded. Yes. The devil's man asked, how does it feel? Sam's grin widened. Exciting. The devil's man approved. Good. He gestured. Smart is approaching Hell's Gate. Come with me. Sam followed the devil's man into the darkness. The devil's man and Sam awaited Smart's arrival. The devil's man announced, here he comes. Sam savored the moment. I love this feeling. As Smart approached, Sam taunted, welcome, bro. This place is for losers like you and me. Smart defiantly replied, I'm not a loser. You are. Sam laughed. Then why are you here? The devil's man intervened. Enough. I didn't bring you here for this. He addressed Smart. Go on. Your designated place awaits. Smart moved forward, disappearing into the darkness. Sam watched, satisfied. The devil's man turned to Sam. Your reward awaits. The group stood before Smart's grave, lost in grief. Sarah wept while the brothers wore somber faces. Bobby broke the silence. Smart, I'll miss you till my dying day. Rest in peace. David added, say hi to Mom and Dad. I miss them, and now I'll miss you too, brother. Jerry whispered, hope you're in a better place. Rest now. Sarah sobbed, wish you stayed longer. Rest in peace, dear. Joshua reflected, you died during my celebration. I wish I hadn't invited you, but God knows best. Rest in peace. As they turned to leave, Bobby noticed a man by their car. Can I help you? Bobby asked. Detective Smith introduced himself, flashing his ID. Bobby acknowledged, detective. Smith inquired, your brother was murdered, yet you didn't report it. Why? Bobby asked, how did you find out? Joshua confessed, I told him. Jerry glared, you what? Joshua explained, I couldn't keep quiet. Bobby reassured, it's okay. To Detective Smith, Bobby said, we're grieving now. Can we discuss this later? Smith nodded. The brothers entered their car and drove off. Bobby, Jerry, David, and Detective Smith sat in the living room. Smith asked, why didn't you report Smart's murder? Bobby replied, no use, the police would find out eventually. Smith pressed, do you know who's responsible? Jerry denied, no. Smith inquired about Smart's final words. Jerry recalled, he tried to say something but couldn't speak properly. Smith asked about the girl Smart was with. David said, a random party girl. Joshua might know more. After Smith left, David confronted Jerry and Bobby. Why didn't you tell him? David asked. Bobby explained, we can't risk police investigation. We've committed crimes, stolen, killed. If they find out, we'll be hunted. David understood. I thought if police hunted Sam, it would buy us time to escape or act. Bobby disagreed. Too risky. The doorbell rang. Jerry grabbed his gun. Who's there? Jerry asked. No response. Jerry found an envelope at the doorstep. Bobby took the gun and rushed out. David opened the envelope, finding a note from Sam. Meet me at the spot where 3 shots were fired by 4 p.m. Bobby returned, reading the note. Where 3 shots were fired? Jerry asked. David recalled, the place you guys shot Sam. Bobby worried. What's he planning? Jerry sensed, this doesn't bode well. David advised, let's not go. Detective Smith interviewed Paula about Smart's murder. Paula recounted, we were together at the party. I barely knew him. Smith asked, did you see the attacker's face? Paula's flashback revealed, she and Smart kissed in the restroom. Sam appeared behind Smart. She screamed. Smart turned, receiving 2 stomach stabs and 1 neck stab. Smart fell. Paula fled. Paula described Sam, dark complexion, not too tall. Smith noted, many people fit that description. Paula apologized. I was too scared to look closely. Detective Smith assured, I understand. Paula shared, the attacker vanished. He wasn't found inside or outside the restroom. Detective Smith pondered, strange happenings. His phone rang. Detective Smith speaking. David's voice came through. Detective Smith, David speaking. Smith asked, how are you holding up? David replied, good, sir. I need to see you. It's urgent. Smith agreed. Meet me at the station by 1 p.m. David confirmed, okay, sir. See you then. The 3 brothers, Bobby, David, and Jerry, waited anxiously. Bobby checked his watch. It's past 4. He's late. David cautioned, be patient, bro. Jerry reassured, he invited us. He'll come. Just then, Sam appeared, walking towards them. David turned and saw him. He's here, he whispered. Bobby and Jerry turned, their faces etched with shock. Sam stopped before them, a sly grin spreading across his face. Long time, guys. You look surprised. His laughter sent chills down their spines. Jerry stuttered, You're supposed to be dead. Sam's grin widened. I've been dead since you shot me. David's curiosity got the better of him. But you're here. How? Sam's eyes gleamed with mischief. I made a deal with the devil. He brought me back. David's eyes widened. A deal? Sam's tone turned cold. What are you doing with them? They're no good. David defended. They're my brothers. Jerry pleaded. Sam, tell us why we're here. Sam's voice dripped with venom. Your arrogance won't save you. You should be scared. Bobby fell to his knees, pleading. Sam, I'm sorry. What we did was wrong. Punish me, not them. I've lost 1 brother already. Sam's expression remained unyielding. You're too late. You double-crossed me. I begged for mercy, but you didn't care. Bobby's voice cracked. I was greedy. Sam's laughter echoed, leaving the brothers shaken. Detective Smith and Paula arrived at the scene, keeping a safe distance. Detective Smith whispered to Paula, Is that the man you saw in the restroom? Paula nodded. Yes, that's him. Detective Smith instructed, Okay, stay here. Then Detective Smith approached the scene, leaving Paula behind. Bobby's pleading fell on deaf ears as Jerry's anger boiled over. Enough of this! Jerry snarled, pulling out his gun and aiming it at Sam. David intervened, alarmed. Jerry, what are you doing? Bobby echoed. Put the gun down! But Jerry refused. No, he needs to go back to hell where he belongs. What else does he want? He got the lion's share of the money and killed our brother too. What more? Sam laughed mockingly. You think you can scare me? I'm already dead, remember. You can't kill what's already gone. Jerry's face twisted in rage. Sam continued, his voice dripping with menace. And I didn't make a deal for the money. I made a deal to erase all of you from existence. Jerry's finger trembled on the trigger. Detective Smith approached, gun drawn. Jerry, put the gun down. Jerry turned, defiant. Who invited you here? Bobby asked. Detective, how did you know we'd be here? Detective Smith glanced at David. I've been watching you closely. Bobby realized, you trailed us here? Detective Smith firmly repeated, Last chance, Jerry. Put the gun down. Jerry snarled. He killed my brother. Detective Smith cautioned, let the law handle it. Don't make me use my weapon. Bobby pleaded, Jerry, please put the gun down. Jerry refused and shot Sam twice. Sam fell to his knees. Detective Smith reacted, shooting Jerry once. David and Bobby rushed to Jerry's side. Bobby begged, Jerry, stay with me. Jerry whispered, I'm sorry, before losing consciousness. Sam rose, eyes glowing with fury. Sam advanced on Detective Smith, who warned, You're under arrest for Smart's murder. Sam kept coming. Detective Smith fired thrice, but Sam didn't stop. Enraged, Sam disarmed Detective Smith and punched him to the ground. Sam sat on Detective Smith's stomach, pummeling his face. I came back to kill them, Sam snarled. I don't need your help. Paula fled the scene. Detective Smith, bloody-faced, lay helpless. Sam rose, picked up the detective's gun, and approached Jerry. Step away from him, Sam ordered David. David refused. We need to get him to the hospital. Sam fired a warning shot near David's feet. David backed off. Sam turned to Jerry. Can you hear me? Jerry's eyes flickered. Sam sneered. I know you can. Luck's on my side. I'll take your last breath. Sam shot Jerry twice in the chest. David wailed, No! Bobby attacked Sam with a stick, knocking the gun from his hand. Bobby swung again, but Sam dodged and punched him. The two wrestled to the ground, exchanging blows. Bobby managed to throw Sam off and kick him. Sam retaliated, catching Bobby's leg and sending him tumbling. Sam brutally assaulted Bobby with the stick. David pleaded, Stop, please. Sam halted, dropped the stick, and picked up the gun. He approached Detective Smith, gun pointed. You deserve to die. You almost ruined the fun, Sam sneered. More police officers arrived at the scene. One of them shouted, Drop your weapon. Sam looked up to see officers surrounding him, including Paula, who had run to get help earlier. Sam cursed, They just don't get it. He started shooting at the officers, killing two. Paula took cover. The remaining officers returned fire, forcing Sam to drop his gun and flee into the nearby bush. The officers chased after him, but Sam vanished into thin air. 2 days passed since the fateful encounter. David sat anxiously in the doctor's office, awaiting news about his brother's condition. The doctor's expression was somber. I apologize for the delay. I needed to confirm the test results before sharing them with you. David nodded understandingly. Unfortunately, the doctor began, your brother is in a persistent vegetative state, PVS. David's eyes widened in shock. What does that mean? The doctor explained gently. It's a disorder where patients with severe brain damage are partially aroused but not truly aware. The acute traumatic brain injury your brother sustained likely caused this. David's voice trembled. Is there any chance of recovery? The doctor offered a glimmer of hope. If he recovers, there's a risk of losing certain abilities. Like what? David pressed. Memory loss, the doctor replied. David's face fell. Oh no. The doctor placed a reassuring hand on David's shoulder. All he needs now is prayer. David stood, resolve in his eyes. David visited Detective Smith in the hospital. Hey, how are you feeling today? David asked. Better than when I first got here, Detective Smith replied. That's good to know, David said. Detective Smith inquired, how are you holding up? David sighed, trying my best. I regret informing you about that meeting. Detective Smith reassured, don't say that. It's my job, and I know the risks. David's voice cracked. You could have died, Detective Smith acknowledged. I didn't, thanks to God and Paula's quick thinking. After a brief silence, Detective Smith continued. Sorry about Jerry, and I heard about Bobby's condition. It's unfortunate. David nodded, and Detective Smith offered him a seat. Frankly, David, I'm concerned about you. Sam is still out there, possibly planning to eliminate you. Sam sat on his bed, gazing at the board with the brothers' pictures. He smiled, feeling satisfied with his revenge. As he stood up to remove Smart and Jerry's pictures, a sinister figure appeared. Bravo! The devil's man exclaimed. Sam bowed. Welcome. The Devil's Man praised Sam's accomplishments. Remember the terms of your deal with the master? Sam nodded. I have good news, the Devil's Man said. The master has a new job for you. Sam's curiosity piqued. What is it? Your first assignment is to prove your loyalty, the Devil's Man revealed. The master wants David dead. Sam's expression changed. What? Kill David? He's my friend. The Devil's Man's expression turned cold. This isn't about you. You're bound to the master's will. Sam hesitated. I can't do it. The Devil's Man laughed. You can't resist the master's orders. Sam felt an eerie force controlling him. The Devil's Man gestured to the board. Remove Bobby's picture. Despite resisting, Sam couldn't overcome the master's control. The Devil's Man sneered. You're no longer in control, Sam. You're a servant of darkness. Sam pleaded. Please, send me elsewhere. Not David, I beg you. The Devil's Man vanished, leaving Sam trapped in his dark obligations. David stood before Smart's and Jerry's graves, clutching a handkerchief. Tears streamed down his face. Why must I suffer so? He thought. First Sam, then Smart, and now Jerry. Bobby lies in the hospital with little hope. I'm alone. What's next? Sam appeared beside him. Sorry for your loss. David stuttered. Yes. Sam continued. I had to do what I had to do. You understand? David nodded. Sam reminisced. We were friends. I miss that. David smiled faintly. Sam's tone turned serious. War is coming. My master brought me back to avenge my death. The first phase is over. Now I must serve him. David asked, What's your first assignment? Sam hesitated. To kill you. David's eyes widened. Why? Sam explained. Striking a deal with the devil has a price. My master compels me. I can't resist. David struggled to comprehend. Sam handed David a paper. This is your only chance to stop me. Act fast, time is short. As Sam walked away, David unfolded the paper and read its contents. Panic set in. He rushed to his car and sped away. Jane settled into the couch, enjoying a quiet evening, when a sudden knock at the door broke the silence. She rose to answer it, expecting a routine visitor. But to her surprise, David burst in, his face etched with worry. What's the matter? Jane asked, concern creeping into her voice. You look like you're carrying the weight of the world. David's eyes darted around the room before focusing on Jane. I'm caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, he said, his voice laced with desperation. Jane's confusion deepened. What do you mean? David took a deep breath. Remember my friend Sam? The one we searched for in hospitals across town weeks ago? Jane's memory clicked into place. Yes, I remember. David's expression turned grim. He wants to kill me, and he can't help it. Jane's eyes widened. He can't help it? What do you mean? David's words spilled out in a rush. He said the devil demanded he kill me. Jane laughed, thinking it was a joke. The devil? You can't be serious. David's somber face silenced her. I'm dead serious, Jane. I don't have time to explain, but I promise I'll fill you in later. Jane's amusement turned to concern. What do you need me to do? David pulled out a crumpled paper from his pocket and handed it to her. Sam said this is the only way to stop him. Jane's eyes scanned the paper. He gave this to you personally? David nodded. Yes, and I have no one else to turn to. That's why I came to you. Jane's gaze locked onto David's. I know where to get these items. David's face lit up with relief. I knew I could count on you. Let's get going. Jane hesitated, glancing down at her clothes. Hold up a second. I need to change. David nodded impatiently. Please hurry. We don't have much time. As David cruised along the main road, Jane suddenly pointed to a shop, caught her eye. Pull over, she said, her voice filled with excitement. David obligingly swerved to the side of the road and brought the vehicle to a halt. Together, they stepped out of the car and entered the shop. A few minutes later, they emerged, each carrying an average-sized wooden cross. David carefully placed the crosses on the back seat before getting back behind the wheel. The next stop was a shop specializing in plastic containers. Inside, they picked out a 10-liter gallon and a sturdy bowl. David tucked their purchases into the trunk, and they continued on their way. Their final destination became clear as David turned into the parking lot of a church. He found a suitable spot and parked. Silently, David and Jane climbed out of the car and walked toward the main entrance of the church auditorium, ready to take care of whatever business had brought them there. David and Jane approached the Reverend Father's residence. The door creaked open and they greeted the clergyman with reverence. "Good evening, Father," David said. "Good evening, my children," the Reverend Father replied, his voice warm and welcoming. "What brings you to my doorstep tonight?" David hesitated for a moment before explaining. "My name is David, and this is Jane. We need your help, Father." The Reverend Father's expression turned sympathetic. "If it's within my power, I'll gladly assist you." Jane chimed in. "We need holy water, Father." The clergyman nodded, understanding. "You mean water that has been prayed upon?" Jane affirmed. "Yes, Father." The Reverend Father's gaze fell upon the empty gallon in David's hand. "I see you require a substantial amount." David nodded. "Yes, Father." With a gentle smile, the Reverend Father instructed, "There's a tap outside. Fetch water from it and bring it to me." David obeyed, disappearing into the evening shadows. Minutes later, he returned with the filled gallon. The Reverend Father took the container, his hands moving with deliberate purpose. He opened the small bottle of holy water, sprinkled its contents into the gallon, and made the sign of the cross. "Close it now. The water has been sanctified," he declared. David and Jane exchanged grateful glances. "Thank you, Father," they chimed in unison. As they turned to leave, the Reverend Father's voice stopped them. "My son, I sense you're troubled. A dark presence follows you, but fear not, for the Lord is with you. Have faith, and you shall overcome." David and Jane turned back, their faces illuminated by the fading light. The Reverend Father's words brought solace to their weary hearts. "Thank you, Father," David repeated. With renewed hope, they bid the Reverend Father farewell and stepped into the evening, ready to face the challenges ahead. As the car rolled into the compound, David and Jane stepped out, their movements swift and purposeful. David headed straight for the trunk, while Jane assisted him in unloading the wooden crosses from the back seat. Together, they placed the items on the floor near the apartment entrance. "Wait here. I need a knife or machete," David instructed. "I'll be right back." Jane nodded, her eyes locked on the items they'd just unloaded. "Okay?" David disappeared into the apartment, leaving Jane to pour the holy water from the gallon into a bowl, its gentle gurgle filling the silence. Upon his return, David carried a machete, its blade glinting in the light. He began carving the wooden crosses with precision, sharpening them until they were ready. With a nod, he submerged them in the bowl of holy water. "How long do they need to stay in there?" Jane asked, her brow furrowed. David shook his head. "Sam didn't give a specific time limit." Jane's gaze narrowed. "Then let's finish the rest of the instructions." David agreed, hefting the remaining gallon of holy water. Together, they stepped inside the house. "Where should I do it?" David asked, scanning the space. Jane's eyes swept the area. "Here, I guess. There's enough room to move around if things go wrong." David nodded, setting the gallon down. Jane pulled out the paper Sam had given them and began reading aloud. "Sprinkle the water over the house. This will weaken and slow it down enough for you to strike with the wooden cross. Without it, you're no match for it." Her voice dripped with urgency. "So, what are you waiting for?" "Sprinkle the water already." With a deep breath, David began sprinkling the holy water throughout the house. Sam sat silently on his bed, surrounded by darkness. Suddenly, a voice spoke. "It's time," the voice said. Sam felt a strange sensation, like something was moving up his body. It started at his toes and traveled up to his head. He lifted his hands from his face, and his eyes shone with an eerie glow. Without a word, Sam stood up and disappeared out of the room. David finished the tasks outlined on the paper, a mix of relief and anxiety washing over him. "It's all done now," he said to Jane, his voice laced with uncertainty. "I guess it's left for the odds to be in my favor." Jane's eyes clouded with fear. "Yeah, but I'm scared, though." David's expression mirrored hers. "Me too, I'm afraid. But a man's got to be brave." Jane nodded resolutely. "Course." David's gaze locked onto hers, his voice firm. "I think it's time you went home. I don't want anything to happen to you." Jane hesitated, her eyes filled with refusal. "I can't leave you here all by yourself." David's tone turned urgent. "Please, you have to go. I don't want you to get caught when things go wrong here." Jane relented, her voice barely above a whisper. "Okay." She hugged David tightly, her words laced with emotion. "The next time I see you, I'll love to see you alive." David's response was laced with uncertainty. "God willing." As Jane left, David collapsed into the chair, covering his face with his hands. He lifted his head, gaze drifting upward, and rose to retrieve the wooden cross. Just as he turned to return to the chair, the lights flickered twice and died. David froze, his heart racing. He scanned the darkness but saw no one. Slowly he backed away, his eyes darting around the room until his back touched the wall. The silence was oppressive, heavy with anticipation. David waited, his senses on high alert, bracing himself for what was to come. David's voice trembled as he called out into the darkness. "I know you're here already. Show yourself." His eyes frantically scanned the room, his body shaking with fear. Suddenly, Sam materialized before him, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly light, a dagger clutched in his hand. "Somebody's going to die tonight, and it's going to be you," Sam sneered. David's determination flared. "It won't be me," Sam charged, dagger flashing in the dim light. David darted away, using the space to his advantage. "Why run?" Sam taunted. "Is that how you're going to end this?" David remained silent, his strategy unfolding. Sam took another step closer to David, but accidentally stepped on the holy water. He felt a burning sensation and looked down, then back at David. "I see you've done your homework," Sam snarled. Sam charged at David again, swinging his dagger. David dodged and struck Sam's knees, making him scream. David quickly moved to another spot in the room, near the gallon of holy water. Sam's anger grew. "You think you're smart, right?" Sam attacked again, but David was ready. He threw the wooden cross on the floor, grabbed the holy water and poured it over Sam. Sam shrieked, dropped the dagger, and fell to his knees, scratching his body. David picked up the cross and tried to strike Sam, but Sam blocked it and punched David in the stomach. David doubled over, dropping the cross. Sam quickly got up and tackled David to the ground, choking him tightly. David struggled to breathe but couldn't break free. Just as Sam thought he had won, Jane intervened, pouring holy water on him. Sam screamed, released David, and turned towards Jane. "You little clown, you're going to die first!" Sam growled. David recovered, grabbed the cross, and stabbed Sam in the back. Sam screamed, turned around, and smiled weakly. "You did it," Sam said. "Check my pocket, you'll find something." A dark cloud left Sam's body, and he collapsed to the ground, dead. David fell to his knees, overcome with emotion, and wept. Jane rushed to his side, embracing him tightly. "It's over now," she said softly. David's voice cracked. "You came back?" Jane's eyes shone with tears. "I had to. I couldn't bear the thought, and I'm glad I did." David stood, his gaze drawn to Sam's lifeless body. He rummaged through Sam's pockets, producing a crumpled piece of paper. Jane's curiosity got the better of her. "What's that?" "Don't tell me it's another instruction." David's expression turned hopeful. "Sort of, but a positive one." Jane's eyes locked onto his. "Okay, what does it say?" It contains his address and where I can find the money he took from my brother." David stood before Sam's grave, his eyes cast downward in reflection. Jane stood a short distance away, watching him with a mix of sadness and understanding. "You were like a soldier," David whispered to Sam's resting place. "You fought until the end, even in death. You could have lived if my brothers hadn't—" His voice trailed off, overcome with emotion. "I miss you. Rest now." Just then, David's phone rang, breaking the silence. He answered, listening briefly. "Okay, I'll be right there," David said. He turned to Jane, his expression hopeful. "Bobby's awake. The doctor just called. Let's go." Together, they hurried to their car and sped away.